California's proposed wealth tax is more than an astonishingly destructive measure. It is an ugly result of America's long-term destruction of the dollar. Hello, I'm Steve Forbes, and this is What's Ahead, where you get the insights you need to better navigate these turbulent times. California voters are likely to face a referendum this November that would impose a supposedly one-time 5% wealth tax on the state's 200 or so billionaires. The levy would apply to all their financial assets, such as stocks, bonds, privately owned businesses, as well as intellectual property like patents, collectibles like baseball cards, and of course, artwork. The tax would be retroactive. Anything owned on January 1st this year would be hit. So would any assets transferred to trusts. Draconian penalties would be applied to both taxpayer and appraiser if state bureaucrats determined an asset was undervalued. The money confiscated by this tax would be used primarily for health care. Needless to say, such a tax, if it survived court challenges, would be a disaster. Destroying capital always is. Proponents confuse income with wealth. The state's top 1% of income earners pay almost half of the state's income tax revenue. Not only billionaires, but many well-to-do people are fleeing an already grossly overtaxed state. That means big budget trouble in the future. California thrives on successful startups, and this tax would be devastating for incubating tomorrow's metas. These and other powerful and practical objections are being made. Yet, if the referendum gets on the ballot, which is highly likely, most voters tell pollsters they'll support it, which raises the eye-popping question of why. The immediate answer is deep resentment of billionaires, who seem to get wealthier and wealthier, while tens of millions of people are falling behind or barely keeping ahead of still rising costs. The blaring, non-stop coverage of the very well-to-do fans resentment as many people struggle to pay bills. Even though most people benefit from a rising stock market, even if indirectly by funding their future pensions, it seems to many to benefit only those at the top of the financial pyramid. This gets to an utterly underappreciated villain of the affordability crisis, and that is inflation. In a hyperinflation, such as Germany experienced so dramatically in the early 1920s, the disastrous results appear quickly, such as lawlessness, the feeling that traditional ways for getting ahead no longer apply, and that speculation and financial manipulation are rewarded rather than productive work. It stokes the sense of unfairness. For example, the volume of currency trading today is almost $7 trillion. But the deleterious decline of social trust can take place over a longer period of time. The Occupy Wall Street movement several years ago was one manifestation. The resentment of billionaires today is another. The cures are straightforward. Stop the monetary inflation by keeping the dollar stable in value. Until the 1970s, the gold standard did the job, but then we abandoned it and the dollar's decline began. Today, we'll have to settle for proclaiming a stable dollar as the goal and paying close attention to the gold price. And the other cure is pursuing more tax cuts and deregulation and cutting back on tariffs. I'm Steve Forbes. Thanks for listening. Do send in your comments and suggestions. I look forward to being with you soon again.